We are live on Colin's Conversations. I'll let you introduce yourself, give everybody who you are, a quick 1-2 about what you do and how you got here.
I am Juice Shrug. Juice is for short. I am with Colored Radio, host, co-host, producer, all the good stuff. Shout out to my co-host Maul and my engineer S. Carter. I hit you up because I was like, I saw what you was doing with Jay Gaines, and I'm like, hey, this podcast world in Cleveland, you got to be a little bit more connected. So here we are.
Absolutely. And you're in Cleveland now. Have you been in Cleveland your whole life?
Cleveland whole life, born and raised. Cleveland, no like suburb or offset of Cleveland, just inner city Cleveland. Went to St. Joe's, born and raised.
Question is, how did you get the nickname Juice?
Juice. High school football. Football from engineering class from homeroom. A female friend of, well, she's married to our good friend now. That's kind of wild to think about. Right. She, freshman year, I'm walking in the homeroom and she was like, Jamal, you got a juicy booty. And I was like, what? She's like, you got a juicy booty. I'm like, thank you, I guess. And one of my classmates in my engineering class, upperclassman, heard it. We went to engineering class. He called it like Juicy Maul or something like that. And like that, from their turn from football, and they, Juice, come here. Coach said it one time and it stuck. Ever since then, I've been Juice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You made 1 or 2 remarks about how you're like, wow, you really do your research, and I bet you in this interview, I got something that no other interview that you have is going to pull out.
Okay.
Get my Nardor on fully on.
Man.
Bam. Woo-hoo. Ever seen that book before?
The yearbook.
The yearbook.
Yes, sir.
So you were in football as well too, right?
Yes, sir.
Always into athletics? Or?
More so pushed into it because I was big. Like, I'll say I didn't really start getting into football until Madden 06 or something like that, 05.
You said Madden 06.
Yeah.
Refer not in the regular time, but in video game space.
In video game space. So like that's what probably got me into football, and then I went straight into high school after that.
You guys had such a fancy ass yearbook.
Oh no, man! They had a whole
like
class
for not a fancy school. It's a very fancy.
They
yearbook.
spent the whole year in one class doing yearbook. I didn't realize how many schools didn't have a class called yearbook.
We had like an after school program.
No.
It wasn't like any like
middle of the day, they just go there and take, and then like they'll just be around taking pictures and shit. I'm like, oh, y'all with yearbook? I wish I would have did it.
I mean, it'd be an easy class.
Oh yeah, it was. But I did mostly probably.
I should have marked this. You're in here somewhere though. There was some good footage of you. Some never before seen footage out there.
Probably the football.
Yeah, you were in the football lineup.
The directory's in the back where it has my real name. Oh, there we go.
There it goes. We'll put that on the screen in the video version. Yeah. But does that bring back any memories? What was it like back in the high school football days?
So next to my co-host, Maul, Pring just popped up. Pringle is right there. And that is probably our best year, quote unquote. That is probably when we were at full power. All of our seniors were still there. All of our fast people were still there. We were like playoff bound almost. I did not play. I did not play a lick of varsity for real. Was that the year that you quit? No, I quit my senior year.
Quit your senior year?
Quit my senior year because that's funny you know that. You probably listen to the show, but I quit my senior year because and it's a funny ass story. Marlon always tell it. We're sitting in films after a game, and an underclassman had got to go in over me in a blowout, right? Mm-hmm. Like a game before. So this game he got to like start or some shit like that. He was just like a small DN, so he was a speedy, and he just got crushed. Just picked up and thrown back, and like I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, I'm tired. It's Sunday. We gotta go to school tomorrow morning. I just got up and left. I put my pads down in the basement and I just walked out. And usually in the middle of like practicing that type of stuff, you gotta like raise your hand and ask to like go to the bathroom or some shit like that. Me walking out, I guess, unbeknownst to me, that it was a shock to everybody. They were all like, "Where did you just go? He's not coming back." Okay.
Right.
And like after that, probably I didn't see a coach, and probably if that was Sunday, I didn't see a coach until like Wednesday. And they was like, "Juice, where you been at?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm done. I quit." He was like, "Oh, you said you just gonna retire on me?" I was like, "Man, yeah." And he's like, "All right, give it past to the equipment guy, and that's it." And then I started doing plays. I went directly from there to Tech Crew and did Gospel.
Gotcha. And you had a lot of not able to be aired everywhere type fun in the place as well.
Oh, I mean, well, shit, yeah. That was, I will say, a lot of my early escapades as a fat guy were so cool. They were so cool, and they don't happen to me now as I'm slimmer, and I feel like a lot of that was because girls like my personality so much that they made themselves like me because I was big too. And I was like, I don't get this much play. I got so much play. The play was so much fun because it was just like a good environment of people. Like all of them were friends, all of them were comfortable with each other. I'm like, I wish I would have had that before. Not saying that football didn't have that, but hey, you don't have to get hit by a 300-pound person.
Absolutely.
Every day. And then call him your brother. And then go fight some other 300-pound people you've never seen before. It's like, oh my God, okay. So, but like the actual play, yeah, that was fun. Kind of like set me up for like wilder shit anyway, so yeah.
And you said you were in the Tech Crew, or are you doing kind of just making sure the audio and lights were good?
No, I wasn't, they didn't give me that much leeway. I was new, so they just made me move shit because I was bigger than everybody probably.
Gotcha.
And then I mean, I guess in Gospel I had a good part where I had to move some shit during the play, but I wasn't never on stage or like anything important for real. I was just, again, there for the environment. It was just a cool, chill environment. Man.
Gotcha. And then after high school, you went to Lakeland?
Yep. I ended up at Lakeland. Bounced around from, I went to Cleveland State first. Then.
What did you go for?
Film, but
you wanted to be a director, or
no? I wanted to go to Kent, which I ended up going to, but counselors are weird, man. Counselors are weird. I'm like, hey, I want to do game design. They was like, all right, the closest thing we got is film. I'm like, okay, like this has nothing to do with, but so like like I went there for one semester, and I took a film appreciation class and watched like dope ass films for like an hour and a half for like a semester. The best thing about Cleveland State was just like, all right, I know I don't want to be at a expensive school in the city. Like I'm not about to go to school, Cleveland State, and pay so much money. So Tri-C for a semester, then I got my grades up and everything. Kent for a year. Kent was fun as fuck. Like, and then that's where I was doing game design and doing all that. I realized, like maybe if I would have stayed, I probably would have learned to like it because of the money that was probably coming my way. But I didn't like game design for real.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I really didn't. I really couldn't stand sitting in front of a computer that long, and like it failing because of one letter off. I'm not that guy. Like all my teachers always say, proofread. Coding is all about proofreading.
Right.
Like you gotta know what you're typing, what you're doing. That was not my speed, but like I could do it. Like the design stuff, I could do it. I guess I really more so wanted to do like maybe the production style of like writing and like the storyboarding stuff of a game instead of actual designing. But I'm glad I did it. Kent itself, like parties. Just
right.
Fucking parties. Parties and drinking and shit. Couldn't go back to Kent because of like tuition stuff. Didn't get the same scholarship amounts the next year. That started I took like a year and a half off and moved to Canton. all during this time trying to do an indie label, Head Colors, with the homies here. So moving to Canton was really supposed to be me getting some money so I can invest back into the label, but it kind of shut down a little because everybody stopped rapping. So when everybody started rapping, I'm like, all right, I don't know what to do. In Canton, got a car, I'm cool. Probably should have stayed there another couple months, but I moved back. Moved in with my co-host at the point that time, and maybe 6 months in, I was like, hey, we need to start a podcast. And then after that 6 months, I got into Lakeland. Well, I started going to Lakeland because I realized that I didn't know how to market this show well. So I was like, all right, let me learn how to market. So I got back into Lakeland.
And you went there for marketing?
Yeah. Well, business entrepreneurship.
Ran through the same program years before you, but I hated school. And like it was one of those like my grandparents, parents, everybody's like, you got to go to school for something.
Yeah.
I originally wanted to go be an elementary school gym teacher, but apparently I'm retarded when it comes to algebra. I failed algebra like 7 different times at 2 different schools, and I was like, every time I'd get to the same point and like it doesn't click. Yeah. So then I found out that business math was just like balancing the books and doing simple stuff. I was like, I know how to do arithmetic better than the teacher. You know, my brain shuts off when it's like, I don't really think I need to learn this, or I'm never going to use this, which. Yeah. Apparently, you might, but you know, in the form of a class, you're like, I can't do it.
It's so then, do you want to do that for a living? Is different from if you're ever going to need it, because you can call somebody at this point. You can Google it to find out how to do it. But if you want to do it for a living over and over again, no, I'm cool on that.
Absolutely. But I couldn't do that, so then I ended up going through the entrepreneurship business management program out there. Okay. Because it's easy to do. I was like, I've been selling computers and insurance and everything since I was like 18. I was like, a no-brainer. But then I started.
Did you have Gretchen?
What's that?
Gretchen Stokes as a teacher?
Doesn't ring any bells.
This is a question.
No, Dan Curtin. I remember him from like Intro to Business. He was a cool bald guy. I don't remember too many of the teachers. Yeah. But like it's interesting, like when you go through marketing school opposed to like marketing. Like I've had a landscaping business the last 10 years, kind of slowly getting out of that, trying to get into full-time marketing. Yeah. But like people that like when you're in school, the teachers like they haven't been in a real business environment in like 20 years. Yeah. You would go to them and be like, "What do you think about starting a podcast?" And they're like, "Oh, what?"
Over their head. Oh, bro, I get to use the podcast as projects for the last 3 years. Like the first marketing plan we did was for my podcast, and I've been using that and adding to it ever since. So when to me it seems like I'm taking an easy way out, but to them I'm like, oh, I don't know what these numbers are. I don't know what's going on. So like as I guess now that I think about it, it's good that I did, because I did get to learn like stats about podcasting and how fast it's been growing, and the amount of money that was going into it 4 years ago. So let alone now where every comedian has a podcast, every, I don't say washed up actor, but every actor that has stuff like not as busy to do has a podcast, and they're getting signed by podcast companies and stuff like that. It's going to be something with Apple. I feel like they're going to try to put a paywall behind some of their content, because it's just too free and open to be Apple, and like you just post podcasts like that. Like it's gonna be some type of paywall coming soon, I feel.
I mean, I think Apple's background of that is if you go there to get, the Colored Radio podcast, and then you're like, oh, let me go also while I'm here and go get a couple songs or a movie, or kind of like the lost leaders at a grocery store.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
The podcast is just like the cheap milk, so you come get eggs too.
Yeah, but I kid you not, I just delete like iTunes. I'm a Spotify person so much where Spotify is finally starting to catch up and having podcasts. So like I'm starting to start to go switch over and follow stuff on Spotify, because I cracked my phone and had to get a whole new phone. And while I was like in between phones, I had a Droid, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any of my podcasts. I don't have nothing saved for like how to get current up-to-date podcasts I was listening to. And I realized, oh yeah, Spotify has it. So I'm like, all right, let me start to change that over, because if I do lose an iPhone again or something like that, I would be most hurt about not having all my podcasts on.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, Spotify has finally come into play with having like podcasts as well, and exclusive podcasts like Joe Budden podcasts. I like what they're doing over there.
Did you listen to a lot of podcasts before you started your own podcast?
In Canton, I started working out because I didn't have friends out there and I didn't have anything to do because it's Canton, Ohio, so it's fucking nothing to do. And I started going to the gym every day, and I listened to all the music ever, basically, I felt like, and it led me to podcasting. And like, I ran out of music around, like, I don't know what I was. I probably was listening to Schoolboy Q's first album or something like that, or second album. Maybe his first album, something like that. And he had did an interview on a Breakfast Club, and then the Breakfast Club had Charlamagne the Guy, and that led me to his podcast, The Brilliant Idiots. And The Brilliant Idiots is kind of what started my love of podcasts. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I like Charlamagne the Guy. I'm in music. I want to hear him talk about more music. He was not talking about more music. He was just talking about life, learning stuff. And then he introduced me to Andrew Schultz, who was like probably the opening door to like comedy and podcasting, because he kind of started to say names about podcasts. Joe Rogan. I started getting into Joe Rogan, and then that was after Joe Rogan. Everything's open after that. So
I always say that Joe Rogan is the white man's Oprah.
oh yeah, definitely. If you can get on a Joe Rogan anything, like just his radar, like you're gonna get some type of spike. But started listening to podcasts over and over again, and me starting a podcast was so far out of my head because I respected podcasting so much. Like, I don't have shit to talk about. I don't really want to talk about anything with just us sitting around. Let's smoke weed and talk about pussy. It did turn into that. But at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm just listening, and that pretty much took over what I did, because down there I was working third shift, and I had seen Dash Radio. So Dash Radio was an app, well, it's still an app that's free music and with no commercials. So it's just radio, but with no commercials. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to find songs all the time. Playlist, hell yeah. So I downloaded the app, and on it had Odd Future Radio. Odd Future had a morning show called The Shane Show, and then that became my daily listen in the mornings on third shift was The Shane Show. And he is the one that kind of sparked my podcasting gene. He loves to say 1 + 1. So if you start it, gotta do it the next day, and just keep building from there, because if you get 1 + 1, you're gonna end up with something more. And I moved back to Cleveland and didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had got like a third shift job with special needs adults, so I was cool with like doing that at night and then having my days to do what I wanted. And I just kept trying to figure out something. And I still had our color radio, well, it wasn't color at that point, Hidden Colors page. And that was our music label, 12,000 followers on it, hella music, but we didn't drop the music for like almost a year and a half. So I'm like, all right, what can we do with this amount of people? This cliche clout, whatever you want to say, with previous artists from when we did rap and when we were doing shows. Podcast. Let me interview people that we talked to before that know us from the music industry. Now, me personally, I was probably never the quote unquote face of our group in senses, because there was always rappers and designers ahead of me, and I was like, all right, I'll play the manager role and be behind the scenes. I'm cool with being just juice in the background, but in my own right, I had a following. And did I know that they would want to listen to me talk? No. But did I want to get people on that I knew would have a good conversation? Yeah. So the first couple shows, like, I tried to get people that I knew had a growing following, a following, like episode 8 was Low Life Lane. So I was like, all right, 4 years ago, Low Life Lane too. So no face tats, all the freshy stuff was like kind of starting to bubble and stuff, but like they were just like still on par with Cleveland rappers, I'll say. And I was like, oh, this is like, he's the one. Like these guys are dope. These guys are like represent Cleveland. So like having that as like being one of my early episodes and going 150 plus after that, like I kind of knew like, all right, I want to, in any sense, have good interviews with artists. So when you find them or you Google their name or something like that, this pops up. Like, oh snap, this is like early stuff. He like, yo, he was still smoking. He didn't even have tats back then. Like stuff like that. Like that's what I want to find. Like, cause I still remember finding like interviews from like early Drake stuff or like early like freestyles of stuff. Like our early stuff has freestyles of people and like songs that they probably never even dropped after or stuff like that. So like when we do blow, I would love to find that super fan that goes back and like goes and look through all that shit and it's like, oh, this was dope. I didn't even know y'all said that. Well, we as a podcast, I feel, are a platform to be found at a later time. I feel, for real. Like all of our stuff, the people that have heard it said they love it. So I know as a person that listens to podcasts, I will go on a podcast listening spree if the stuff is dope.
Right.
So like, hopefully in the near future we'll get like some type of viral moment. Okay, I forgot the question.
I forget where I got about 15,000 things from what you said to unpack. Yeah. We'll go kind of backwards with it. I know the exact feeling you're talking about. It's amazing how before I do an interview, as you could tell, I like to do as much research. Kind of like I like to go in not knowing everything about a person, but I want to have enough information built up that you're like, all right, this dude's actually paid attention. He's actually about what I'm doing. I'm just not another moving through the door, recording, get it out.
Right.
But what I think is amazing is, like you said, it's one of those, in 2, 3, 4 years from now, Scuff Mixon blows up and they're like, oh, look, the first 3 interviews they ever did, or Adi Ray blows up. The first interview you ever did was Colin's Conversations.
And I take pride in being like a person's first interview. Or them saying, oh, this was the chillest, like I love this, was super chill, like y'all are good vibes. Like that makes me feel good. Like no amount of money, like it is a amount of money, but no amount of money is giving me that type of pleasure from doing this. Like if you gave me $1,000 and it was like, yeah, that was a good episode, and it wasn't, like but the people that come on and like the J. Mariah girl, she drove an hour. Like that's big to me. Like never meeting me, just going off of our page alone and being like, know what? All right, yeah, I'll come into this random place in the hood and talk to you a random person for an hour. Like that means a lot to me. What's his name? Raise the Poetic. He caught the bus, right? In the hood at night, and like, cause we record late at night at sometimes, for real. So, like that means a lot that people are holding value to it, like giving value to something that I've basically put my head down. I'm like, look, I am not gonna look at any blinders. I'm not gonna look at all the podcasts that have come out and gone and people, I ain't gonna say stealing flows or whatever you want to say, styles of podcasting and everything, but just getting the like I'm happy getting the respect of the people, like the respect of the creative. Mm-hmm. You know, like that being to me one of those things where I can't draw. I'm not really musically talented, for real. I play the keyboard a little bit, but not enough to say I'm a keyboard player or anything like that. Like sports was like I'm mediocre, but like getting like, yeah, man, you helping us out, blah blah blah. Like that means so much to me. So like if my superpower is marketing or talking, I'm cool with that being like what I do is podcasting. Like that's what I tell people. I'm like, hey, I'm a podcaster, and then I do my jobs to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
But I podcast for a living.
Yeah, I mean, just like I told you, during the day I landscape, during the night I market, I podcast, and try to make my night slowly make into more of my day. And it's one of those, you don't want to rush anything or throw too much something at it at once. Yeah. But like you said, once somebody finds you and they want to really go into it, to have a catalog of 40, 50, 100,
exactly,
opposed to kind of just figuring it out and trying to live up to the hype, I don't think is really the way to go.
And it's, I feel like it's a metaphor in a sense. I don't want to get too deep, but it's a metaphor. Like if you, say if somebody saw episode 1, hated it, saw how we tapping the table, we're saying we're talking with our mouth open and everything, and then they never listen to another episode until episode 160, and they're like, yo, this is, I'm impressed. Like, but what if you never got to episode 160 and they saw you episode 7 and you're still trash and you gave up? And like, I knew it was trash.
Right.
Like it's that type of thinking where I'm like, all right, if you ain't gonna like this season, I'm working at maybe 30% of what I could really do. Like I have 3 jobs. Like I have to.
Right.
Like, this is the extra that I do in my life. So the fact that we get nominated for Ohio Entertainment Awards. We haven't won one yet, but we've gotten nominated the last 3 years.
That's awesome.
I take that as a win for me, because there's podcasts again, never get past episode 5, never start. I have some people like, hey, how do I start? Like, just put out the content. I don't know what you want me to say. We started putting out content, and
you see what works. Some doesn't.
And a lot of it was, I just want to rate like that again. That first 2 seasons, I just want a reaction from our titles, like just medium dick and a smile. Like that means that has nothing to do with the podcast, for real. It was a short part of the podcast, but everything else is probably about like Trump. Like our 2016, I called him like, yo, if the Cavs win, Trump's winning, right? Because it's just it's the duality. So that's on the record. Like I'm like, yo, the Cavs are going to win, but Trump's going to win too. Like that's the only way the Cavs can win. If you want the Cavs to win that much, I'm going, and he won, and I'm like, play it back from January, like play it like Soulja Boy stuff, like all of these like historical moments that I'm like that means something to the culture or to you. Like I can have I can go back 4 years on it at this point.
Absolutely.
And that type of catalog, I don't know who's this value to yet, but say if a podcast or app pop up and like, oh, we need exclusive content, I'm ripping all that shit off SoundCloud. Bet. How much you want for it? Let's do it. Like, so I forgot the question again, but stick to it in podcasting or in like any type of like life goal type thing. Like all of this is from basically all of my good shit in life. Having a career in business, internships, college, being able to travel and meet people in different states stems from me believing in my friends' careers as rappers. Like me wholeheartely saying, hey, if y'all believe in yourself, I will believe in you and I'll be your manager. So if I never did, like literally I could trace it all that. If I never said that to them, I wouldn't be here and prospering and being able to say I'm a college graduate or anything like that. I probably would have fucking went into like, I ain't gonna say factory work, but something easy. Like probably doing some like web design. Like chilling, it's not bad to do, but like, yeah, just web design, just getting by. Like, not like, I'll web design, smoke some weed, chill out. I don't know. Like that, like, cause seeing that much talent around me, I'm like, yo, I gotta do something with it. I can't be the one not talented and not doing nothing with the talent around me. So like that was always my idea of like, I had a good eye. I felt like I had a good eye for talent, and it kind of progressed into like talking to artists and knowing artists and like saying, hey, what do y'all need? Like, man, just a platform, man. It's nobody out there like listening. It's nobody out there giving anybody a chance. So like transforming into color radio, the power of being the underdog is so much more fun than being a popular person and being solo up there at the top or something like that. And so going for like, instead of going for the major acts and like the major Cleveland artists, I'm going for people we never heard of and people who are dope as hell, but I don't want to say socially awkward, but really don't know how to push their stuff. They're artists. They like to be broody and shit. Like, that's what I learned. Artists love to be broody and like, it's my baby right here. I'm like, come on, let me get it so I can give it to the people.
I totally understand.
Like that. So, like, gaining that knowledge from being a manager, it kind of helped me be more creative in marketing and reaching out in the podcast realm and everything. So, like, following the right artist and seeing an artist that will be like have a benefit from talking for an hour and a half instead of like a Triller clip and them rapping their song. Like, no, they need to hear your story, bro, because what you're talking about is real, first of all, and what you're articulating is dope. So let's come on the show and talk about it. Yeah, I don't know what else you got for me.
All right, I want like
podcasters link up. You still start talking and shit. Just let me run over it. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna let you go. No, I'm gonna let you go. And I'm gonna keep running. You said that a lot of people steal a podcast style. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna adapt from something that you do. Mm-hmm. Kind of every interview you start asking social media handles and top 5. Mm-hmm. I want you to give me a quick top 3 of a couple different categories, just right off the head. Top 3 YouTube channels.
Top 3 YouTube channels. There's a dude called Omi on Hellcat. I just started watching him like 2 days ago. He made his millions off of selling GTA servers and like World of Warcraft servers and then grandbesting. He's like 33, black guy, super big in Philly, just buying cars and jewelry and just having fun with his life. Super interesting, kind of an asshole, but super interesting. But it's like a Philly thing, I guess. Unbox therapy, addicted, love technology and shit, like all this shit in here. I'm like, yeah, find it on Unbox Therapy. He'll tell you like, oh, Amazon has it for $40 cheaper. I'm like, all right, well, thank you, man. So Unbox Therapy. I will say there's a DBZ YouTube page called Rhyme Style. He plays DBZ Legends. I play that a lot, and that. I watch a lot of game shit now. Like there's a dude called Chris Mood that plays 2K. That is hilarious. He's freaking like just hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, I gave you 4.
That's the bonus clip.
Yeah.
Top 3 plus a bonus clip.
Yeah.
Let's go top 3 Cleveland musicians more people should know about.
Ooh. Sean K. Sean K is hard as fuck, and he's fucking in the industry, and nobody knows how in the industry he was. He was down in like the Dreamville studio sessions and all that. He's dope. He's one of those ones where he'll probably make his first million off of writing for somebody or something like that. Like he's that dope. That they should know about. Infinity, Finn, female rapper I've had on forever. She went to Joe's as well. We went to grade school together. She been hard since the grade school, beating on the tables hard. Like, so like I feel like her next project might be the one that kind of catches her to everybody's ear. She went on Sway in the Morning and killed some shit too, like on some freestyle shit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so like her, I think her music's fun coming around to a range where I'm like, yeah, you can get some real pub. And it's the timing. The timing is right. You're more open to female rap, so like she's perfect look for that. 3, I'll give it to my homie Kickback. Kickback just dropped his first debut album, I'll say, with Firstborn. It was his birthday, so yeah, Kickback. Been rapping with him forever, so shout out to him for the
Top 3 podcasts that you're listening to right now.
Ooh. Simcast. Simcast is a movie podcast. they just review movies, and they've all either worked as like projectionist or like with movie phone or something like that. So like they have good views of movies, and they know good movies to pick. Right now, Joe Rogan, he's not missing. He had Snowden on a couple days ago. I'm like, shit, bro, damn, man. The FBI wants Joe Rogan. I don't see how.
How do you have Edward Snowden on your show at the same time, right where my hard drive is? He's got a box of mushrooms and all sorts of stuff.
It's like I don't even understand like how they haven't come for him yet or found any type of like he must be a really good guy that he hasn't had any like scandals pop out of him. So Joe Rogan, Flagrant 2 with Andrew Schultz, Akash, and Kaz.
And what's that one about?
Flagrant 2 is basically when the PC era came out, and like I'm one of those people that like to hear shocking stuff. I don't need to say it to make somebody's like hurt their feelings or something like that, but I like to hear like shit that just like, oh, that's a funny 2 words together. It sounds good. So like it's a sports podcast, but with the background of current events. So you get with your homies and your friends and everything, and you're about to watch the football game, but then like you know what? I hit my toe yesterday, man. This kid ran over my foot, blah, 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 and you get into a random conversation, but he's like, oh, he just called an interception type shit. So like they just review, well, I don't want to say review, but they talk about sports, but then they talk about current events. So they did the China stuff the last few weeks, where they said, well, LeBron James should have said, I'm protecting my money, but he said he beat around the bush and basically said, hey, I care about black people here and not the oppressed in China. And they got into that, but the way they describe it is just flagrant, and they say bad words. they say all the bad words you can't say really out in public. They're so good that their Patreon is probably the Patreon that is most looked at in the industry, because they do like $35,000 a month off of people paying just to hear one extra episode. So like that type of like I don't say mentorship, but that I'm watching them a lot, because they're on the cutting edge of YouTube and like getting people engaged, and you want to get people engaged. So that's where I got the caption stuff from. That was like, hey, when we started doing captions and our stuff spiked, I was like, say no more.
All right.
I had to download the app.
What app are you using for that?
AutoCap, and it's good for what it's doing, but I'm gonna need something better, because it's not catching all the words.
Descript. This little blue one down here. Mm-hmm. This one's pretty sweet. They have paid options, but the free option gets you, I think it's 4 hours of transcription a month. So I mean, it's kind of, especially as a podcaster, where you figure if you're doing an hour-ish episode a week, that's about 4 hours.
I don't need to caption a whole episode.
And you don't need, exactly. How many air types do you not need to put in there? So it's one of those. The slower people talk. If I were to talk like this, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's when a couple people get like, especially the only thing I could see on your show it being a problem is if 3 or 4 or 5 people are all kind of in the same trying to talk and get their point.
And that's the problem for real. Where y'all can see recently on our latest episode of Captions, Maul was talking and then the guest was talking, but on the caption it looks like a jumbled sentence. Right. And I'm like, I don't want to put a comma there or like put Maul and then put guest and shit like that. So I'm like, look, captions is what y'all getting right now. If y'all like, captions are new. Like I still remember when we didn't have a good camera. Well, we didn't have a camera that had good sound. So we were like not syncing the sound, and we were just using the camera sound. And people were like, yo, I want to laugh, but I can't hear it. Right. And I'm like, y'all can hear it, turn it up. And like, nah, you couldn't really hear it. So when we like started syncing the sound, our podcast shot. So like, it's just little stuff that
makes the quality better that I would have never have gotten to if I would have quit at like episode 10 or something like that, or episode 17.
It was funny how you said earlier, in my beginning episodes, I said so many times. As I went back through the archives, I think it was like 47 times the first 2 episodes. I said or absolutely. You're like...
Yeah, because you don't really know where to take the conversation, and you kind of like...
I've kind of taken that like a full 360 on that though. Words like absolutely and great, I think are the main 2 that I usually use. That way, while I'm editing and I'm going through to break up things, as soon as I hear great, that means go back. There's probably something right there, or an absolutely means cut here. Kind of like as that was a question, answer absolutely. Just so as I'm going through, I could kind of if you talk for 2 minutes, I could kind of.
Fine.
15. All right, that's where that ends. Maybe I want to use that.
You do all your own editing too. Like I'm kind of like privileged in my setup, where I have an engineer, so I can imagine for real listening to me for 160 plus episodes, like he probably has to do. Which we don't do much editing, as in like taking stuff out, but like before the I'll say the crackdown on YouTube of music, or the licensing of music and stuff on YouTube and SoundCloud was a wild west up until 3 years ago before
you guys like to use a lot of copyrighted music. I've seen.
Yeah. Like all of our because we wanted to be a radio. Like we really wanted to be radio, and they started cracking down on us super hard on a lot of our episodes, and I was like, all right, whatever y'all miss, but they were getting a lot of it. So now we had to do like 30 seconds. Right. 30 seconds and just to get the flavor of it. But I was super proud of a lot of episodes where we were having like great conversations about music, and then we lead into music.
Yeah, you guys, your editor, whoever does it, did a good job of kind of, you were talking about, like a Young Thug or whatever, and like you said, it kind of just transitioned right in there. Yeah. And me as the podcast, I'm like, they can't legally monetize that. Ain't that about a bitch?
Yeah.
But what I do to kind of get around that is like same thing that you could be doing. Is since you have a lot of musical guests, Dirty Backpacks or Faded, Nuke Franklin, a couple other. You hear a lot of repeating beats in mine that are just hard beats.
Yeah.
But that artist gave me the rights to use those beats, and I'm not using the lyrics.
Yeah,
I'm keeping it in the background, and then in the clip it'll be like music provided by surfaded.com, or kind of using that as a way to also bring back a previous guest in a new way, to be like, hey, we're talking, like you said, we're talking about dope music.
Yeah.
If I have either a sponsored something or a non-sponsored something, kind of drop that in there of, hey, go check out Nuke Franklin Speed Racer, that the beats in the background.
Cross promoting the artist. I like that.
Yeah, I'm all about, whether it's myself or anybody that I'm working with, trying to find how to take one thing and break it into as many different mediums as I can. In the same way too, where like you said, if you're doing transcriptions, take those transcriptions and turn them into a blog article, just a long quote. So that way, same too, those keywords that you're looking to hit on, a Donald Trump or whatever, they're hitting it a lot of different ways. Or then you use that same transcription and start throwing it into the YouTube.
Yeah, you're thinking, so we gotta talk off camera about some stuff.
Absolutely. Another one, give you a couple of these before you head out of here.
Okay.
I started doing these about 10 episodes ago. And if you weren't doing live right now, that QR code right there is going to take you directly to Spotify. Take you right to the channel.
Oh, you hollering with these. That's dope.
So, as a guest comes through, I give you a stack or 10 or 15, 20 of these, whatever. You pass them all out to your friends. Like, hey, I was just on this one, go check it out. Or every time you do, like, you take that same idea. I mean, you get, I think 500 of these I'm running right now, like $40-$45. Thousands of them.
Smart. So, it goes straight to freaking, that's so much easier than telling them to.
You have to eliminate as many different steps as you can. So if I could say, Androids, I think you still need the app for it. Yeah. But any iPhone past 6 or 7, as soon as I go like this,
you can find it.
Bam, right there.
That's dope. That's dope.
You're thinking
that even gets you to that older demographic of people that were like, I listened to it, but what the fuck is a podcast?
Yeah. Oh, well, I will say that I'm so happy that the younger generation knows now. Like the older generation probably still is unaware of what. Oh, it's radio with no cursing. Like, yeah, but you can listen to it anytime. Why would I want to listen to the radio? All right, well, never mind. But like the fact that the younger generation, the YouTube generation and podcast are kind of.
I think the podcast is for the YouTube generation that has to get shit done.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't sit there with the screen open the whole time.
Put your headphones in and start doing work.
Like during the day I do landscaping. So if you're cutting grass for 8 hours a day, 3 hours of it you get Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Fill it in with something else here. So then find some new music.
Driving time. All right. I have an hour commute back. Listen to this full episode back and forth from work. Perfect. Get home and talk to the kids. Or have something to talk about with a spouse or something like that. Like, oh, if you're a boring person for real, if like you have nothing to talk about or have no hobbies, find a podcast. Like there's criminal podcasts, there's how to do it podcasts, there's so many podcasts where you can just get information in your commute and be an interesting person. That's why I get all my information. Joe Rogan makes me so interesting. I say shit where I'm like, I didn't Google that. I heard it from Joe Rogan.
Right, and you just repeat it as it's, just common knowledge. Because you're like, what, you don't listen to Richard Dawkins?
Yeah.
You don't listen to Richard Snowden, just babble on? That dude babbled forever, though.
Bro,
it was one of those I kept listening, but I was like, dude, you got to rap like Joe Rogan. Step back in and get him back on track.
He was just letting him. But again, I've heard a few of like Snowden's like his interviews now, and all of them are pretty much the same. He tells us what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And like, where I'm a podcaster, all of my voice is out there. Like,
right.
if they want to make a cybernetic copy of me into a robot, they can.
Absolutely.
There's not much else I can do about that now. But
yeah, I'm always interested in that, like, because Joe Rogan even too is kind of on not the side of the fence you would think when it comes to privacy and whatever. For the dude that has mushrooms and acid and just sitting on his desk ready to roll for any guest that walks through the door while live broadcasting, you're like, that's why you should be worried about it. But if you're just running a normal life, like,
I really don't understand. Like, even at this point, the amount of money he's making off of, like, he owns most of the ads he says.
Right.
So I'm like, how is he really getting money? Is it really off of YouTube and like the download? I know it's millions and millions of views, but like, is it? I don't know.
The stats I've seen on him, he makes a minimum of 10 on the low side. I've seen he makes a minimum of 10 grand an episode. On the high side, I've seen that he makes about 50 grand an episode.
And he does 4 episodes a week,
3 or 4 a week. So I mean, he's bringing in about $1 million a month just off podcasting, give or take.
Yeah, man. I
guess. Like you said, he's got 6 to 7 minutes of ads at the beginning and 2 minutes on the end.
Yeah.
But if you're going to listen to 3 hours of a Harvard lecture, especially with podcasting where there's a button on almost all apps that you can fast forward 15 or 30 seconds, like I've come to listen to that show so often. I know how many times to tap it.
I don't even need to tap it. I can skip it and maybe get within a minute or 30 seconds of the person starting talking to someone like that, where he's Joe Rogan podcast. Like,
and I mean, that's the dude that started as a comedian and then was Fear Factor, which everybody's looking at him on Fear Factor like he's just a moron. This is the guy getting people to eat cockroaches. Now he talks to the greatest minds in the world whenever he wants.
And spreading knowledge.
Real knowledge.
There's this saying where people always say, the game is to be sold, not told. And I feel like it came in around the crack era where they were talking about like how to mix crack. That process is the game. But people adopted that into like, oh, don't tell how you're making your money. Don't tell how to invest money and how the stars work and all. Whatever information you have, don't spread that information. So like with Joe Rogan, like it's a generations of people, I guess now, generations from older than him, younger than him, younger than us that are listening and have information now that they never had before. Like, I learned so much about like the ketogenic diet, Tesla, like having Elon Musk on there and like and actually seeing him talk and speak and take time to, like, that is one of those things where I wish I had as a teenager or a preteen, and having that idea of like, I'm gonna ask more questions in school because this is some bullshit. And if I knew these people were thinking like this and had these ways of thought, like even down to like he had Milo on. I don't want to call him a Nazi, but they called him a Nazi and stuff like that. But,
I know what you're talking about.
And like having that conversation and learning his background and like having those quote unquote Republican conversations of the other side is giving me a more balanced view of everything.
Right.
And like, I know it's happening for other people that are even more so on one side, and they're like, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody, or I don't want to hear nothing from your ass either. And Joe's like, well, I like guns, I like working out, but I also want to take care of the kids. So, yeah.
It's kind of how I take my podcast guests too. Like I've had I don't know, that was about 5-6 episodes ago, Megan Cram, Megan Carner of Cram Kids. It's a kids religious education workbook. Okay. I'm like as far anti-religion as you could go. Like if that works for you, that's cool. But like I don't need to talk about it. It doesn't work for me. Right. But it was a daughter of a landscape customer of mine, and I was like, oh, I don't do the Jesus part, but I talk about business and entrepreneurship, all that other part of my show. Absolutely. Next time she comes in town, you know, I like to be able to talk to podcasters and talk about stuff I know, marketers, landscapers, whatever, but I don't read many books, but I've had a lot of authors on. You know, I'm not a musician, but I talk to musicians. To be able to get into other people,
I can listen to some shit, but I can't. And that's one of the things I hate the stigma. I'm sorry to cut you off too.
You're good.
But like the people that say, oh yeah, I don't read it, and then they look at you weird. Like, no, I like information. I like getting information. It's just the way I intake information. Sitting down and staring at the words on a page, my brain is wandering off. Like, I need to be doing something else. That's why podcasting works for me.
Right.
And audiobooks work for me because I can do anything else and get the information.
Yeah, I don't know why the little bit that I've worked with authors on marketing, like they understand to get a website and stuff. You're like, all right, if you want to come into modern day though, like why don't you have an audiobook? And they're all like, well, it's expensive. Like I don't have the money for it. And I was like, all right, do you have an iPhone? Yeah. Do you know this story? Do you know how to read? Every day, just go in a closet if you need to, and then just
read a chapter of your book.
A chapter every day or a page every day.
Put that out as a podcast. Like, here's my book in podcast form. 68 chapters of blah 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 blah. Yeah.
And if you did a chapter a week or whatever, and it took you a year to put it out, some people would be like, I don't want to wait that long. They're going to buy the book.
Exactly.
Where a lot of people that with podcasts, like we talked earlier, most of them fail after a couple episodes because they're like, oh, I thought I was going to be famous overnight. I thought I was going to get 1 million views, make a bunch of money. But the money doesn't come from the views. You have to find other ways to monetize it.
Yeah. Oh, like we had shirts, we had merch. Which we will do again, but that was our first try at figuring out how to monetize, and not even just to get rich, but just to add to the podcast. How to get more mics, how to get more like we're still working on the studio space and stuff like that, because it's a I'll say the perception of your podcast is even more than the actual content. Like, I can have shitty content, but the perception of my podcast be popping and people will love my podcast. I have yet to hear one person say like, yeah, I loved your growth. You stutter so much less. I do. If you really listen to the first 100 episodes, I was fucking stuttering nonstop, couldn't get a point out. But you get comfortable. You get comfortable with talking to new people. You get comfortable with talking about topics that like, I like politics. I'm a politics type person. I like the view of how politics is not supposed to be grimy, but it's so grimy and so fucking like high school popularity contest type stuff where it's so much of that people get turned off to it, and I kind of want to bridge the gap between that. We're gonna have a new series dropping in 2020 called Color News, and that's just basically diving into like topics around like, say if we do something on Trump, it's like maybe 10 minutes tops. We're not even doing no more than really 5 minutes on Trump or something like that. But it's information where you want to dive into it and learn about it. You can have talking points in public or something like that. So like the colored news aspect that we're gonna start doing is I'll say Jon Stewart style, but more so with topics that mean something. So the first episode is gonna be tipping. So telling people why servers need tips and why people of certain cultures don't tip. And the main point I'm probably use is, hey, if you ate fast food all your life, do you tip your McDonald's worker? So when you go to a restaurant and you're paying what you owe, like, no, I don't want to give you extra money. But if you don't know that a server is making $3 an hour or whatever, their check is like 6 cents because they're getting all their money is from tips. Like, you're like, oh, duh, why did you say that? Here, your price is what, $5, $10? Well, it's more so to the bill of what you like. No, here's your $5 on top of for serving me. Like, that makes sense. But if you're saying, no, this is gratuity or this is
I hate when they call it gratuity.
Yeah, it's like
it started out as a gratuity thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of just here's a nickel, or kind of just our way of we're better than you. Here's a little bit. Take this.
Yeah.
Or like you said, how are you supposed to know depending on where you go into? Excuse me. Do they pay you a living wage?
Yeah. Bro, before I actually had friends in the waitress field and all that, I didn't know they didn't get paid minimum wage. I was like, oh, y'all get paid and then y'all get tips. That's why y'all have so much money. But no, they have so much money because they get paid in cash and they're still on taxes. But like that type of cultural conflict is like the things I want to have conversations more about.
It's interesting with the whole waiter waitress thing too. It's you're taking a job, accepting slave wages. Let's call it.
Yeah.
We'll call it what it is.
Almost prison wages.
It costs you more to drive to work than you're going to get in that couple hours, and then you're hoping that the people on the other end, and then you're also hoping that the cooks actually do their job. Yeah. That everybody else does their job.
Everything
so that
must work right, and then you get your money.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like you're taking all of the risk of being a restaurant owner, and you get no ownership, no equity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you literally have to be the walking face of the restaurant, and you're the representative of the restaurant.
You are essentially the owner.
Yeah.
You know?
That's crazy. Yeah. I
and
couldn't do it.
You get none of the respect. Yeah, my wife used to do it. It's a shitty job.
Yeah, but again, having the cash on hand every day, that's not bad. Like my girl used to be a server and she come home with she was like, oh, I just found $10 in my back pocket. I'm like, that's good. All right, we good. We're going out to eat tonight. You made some good money. Like my best friend's a server. She always says like, yeah, I just made like $200 today. I'm like, $200 in one day? like in hindsight, that's like people make $1,000 one day. But like if you're on this level, you're like, yeah, I just paid off my bills for the month in 4 days.
All right.
And not everything else I do for the month is my money. I'm like, that is a good bid, but they get so upset when certain people don't tip, and I'm just like, yo, this is they're going out for either a special occasion or this is like a limited time or a limited amount of money that they have, and they're treating themselves to a nice meal instead of going to a fast food restaurant. So tipping is sometimes like you're not tipping your person that got you the popcorn at the movies. You're upset that the popcorn cost that much, first of all, and then you're like, no, I shouldn't. Y'all should give me more popcorn on that before I spend.
The one that kills me with that too is if it's complete awful service. Like I'll go sometimes with my mom out to eat, and the lady could I could have an empty drink for an hour, or
you're just still supposed to tip, but
bad. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to give her the same percentage if she did great or awful. I was like, how is that supposed to work?
They don't get paid, and I'm like, why are you doing this job if you're not getting paid for it? It was just like, well, you're supposed to get all right, well.
It'd be interesting if there was a restaurant where you gave the waitress a quick interview, as soon as she came up to the table, you're like, actually, you know what? I don't think I want to hire you tonight since I want to be paying your wages. Go around. Let's try him. Let's try her.
You go see how I get into it, because like that's why I want that to be the first episode, because like that is such a thing that gets me a little bit frustrated on both ends. Like I've said like so much
the marketing side of that too, though. It's a good hot topic because everybody's gone out to eat. And everybody sat there while having that really slow, poor service. You're like, we still got to tip this lady?
Yeah, I want this for free.
They can relate, you know? They're like, all right, let me tune into this.
And then the next ones, I'm going to say that we could talk off camera about it, but like you'll see how kind of like it might get me in trouble a little bit, but it should work. It should work. Like a lot of the episodes I've done, I've been worried about, like just off of conversation alone, and I think about it, I'm like, man, why am I so nervous about these people saying these things that they're saying? Like I'm not making them talk about these things. I'm not. None of my podcasts, I felt like I've led the conversation into getting somebody in trouble, but man, they do not care about putting their foot in their mouth. And just the relationships concepts that they talk about. I'm gonna dive deep into that and seeing where certain realms go of people cheating. I'll say, like what drives people to cheat. If cheating works for the relationship, do you really get it? Like, should you be upset if all your needs are satisfied? It's a whole thing.
As a content creator, how do you decide what ideas to go with and what ideas not to pursue?
More so where I don't even want to say that because that sounds kind of corny, but where I want to be morally with my content, I'll say like what I want to stand behind takes a lot to do with it. I don't want to be like a Vlad, like, hey, let me get the young gang member on and have him be with all the guns and tell me about how much dope you sell. Like, nah, I would want to have the young gang member on and tell him how to invest his money. Like, oh, you get all this money, let's do some investments. Let's find some stuff where you can get this to clean paper instead of that type of interview. So content wise, always trying to be a innovator, yeah, and
innovator,
yeah. Ugh, terrible at the pronunciations.
Teamwork.
Yeah, right. Thank you. And entertainment stuff that I would watch. Like if I didn't know me, would I watch my show? Not all of them, probably not. But if I see, I know that artist, yeah, I'll click on this and see this. Or if I'll say my most recent episode with Shay Mariah. Nobody really knows who she is besides if you've seen her dance before or something like that, or if you actually know her. But my platform, putting her on a platform, I feel like should get people to know her because like, oh, if Juice co-signs her, let's see what she's talking about. Right. So like that's why I was like, all right, I can give certain type of people platforms where maybe they don't, not gonna say don't deserve it, but don't have the shine, but they could use the shine. Right?
Well, because the one you're talking about, she wasn't just a stripper, she's also like a bodybuilder too, right?
Bodybuilder.
You were afraid of her, it sounded like.
No, it was more so because I didn't want to be disrespectful.
Right.
And in this day and age, like any slip up of a word can get you into some shit. So I was trying to be very respectful of what she classified herself as. And she was, I'm a stripper, and I guess she bodybuilds off and on because like her, like if you saw the video, she's super tiny.
Right.
So like in the pictures, I'm thinking she's like.
That's how those bodybuilders are. Yeah. Depending on what time of year you see them, they're either huge or.
Yeah. So I was expecting like a super built chick to walk in that like, but like no, she's tiny frame, but like she took her jacket off and you can see like her muscle frame still.
Right.
I'm like, oh no, you be climbing that pole like a motherfucker. So yeah, she that type of content is what I like because they're part of the city, they're part of the climate, they're part of the culture of what Bregman said, the Cleveland culture. They're working just as hard to go to the gym and to find sexy outfits, and that guy that's in there, he probably had a hard day. He just wants some girl to dance in front of him. Like that's adding to the energies in the world. So she had a story, and I feel like there's more girls out there that have a story. There's a male stripper out there that definitely has a story that I probably wouldn't get on. Content wise, I love the conversation. I love the lead up to the person being surprised that I found them and stuff like that. Like all of that is intoxicating for real. That even me just being able to do it alone. Like again, I reached out to you and like, hey, you want to do it? Like, yeah. I'm like, all right, that's valid. I'm like, all right, there's somebody that cares about what I have to say and stuff like that.
Well, you were already on the list of people to get on the show.
Okay.
I put out a post a while ago, and Lavish Journey responded.
I saw it.
I was looking for the local podcasters because, like you said, same thing. It's one of those. You're like, I've done musicians, I've done business owners. Like, let me go talk to other people that are doing what I'm doing and try to figure out. This, and like you said, I'm the type. This is everything that I'm doing. This is what you're doing. This worked great for me. This didn't work great for me. If you could save $50 throwing it at LinkedIn ads instead of throwing it at Google ads or whatever, like that's a good thing to know about.
Yeah.
And he put up the post, so then I started listening to the show, and then I don't know. I think just life happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, same thing. I was getting ready to do the same thing. You're like, hey, you want to do it? I was like, oh, check you off the list.
Right. And this was just because. Co-host was going out of town, but I thought he would be back by now. I was like, all right, I ain't doing a show this week. Let me go find a show that I can go be on. So I have content to have out and stuff like that. That's podcast. I don't want to bring this up because I keep giving this light on so many podcasts, but there was a podcast list that went out maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago of the top 34 podcasts in Cleveland. They didn't even put us on the list. Right. And at that point, we're over 100 episodes, countless artists on, we've been nominated, and we didn't even make the list, but 2 podcasts that started after ours that we had on before made the list. And like, it could be discouraging, but the real thing I took away from that was like, oh, none of these podcasts reached out to anybody. Like, I didn't see any of these podcasts do crossover shows or do any type of collaborations with each other. It's 33 podcasts in here and they've never been on each other's show. Like, that's what podcasting is. That's the whole industry. It's not hip hop where these are my fans, you can't have them. Like, no, this is, I'm supposed to go on this show, talk the framework of how your show works. You come on my show, do the 1-2, then we go on a third show together or something like that and talk to somebody. Like, that's the framework that has worked for every podcast. And for Cleveland to be trying to build a podcast scene or even talk about that and not know the history or like how it works and be like, I'm gonna get all of my fans for my fans only, and I'm gonna get these in. Like, it's the same people here. We can get the whole same interviews. They will gladly make their circuit around. That's how you build an industry. That's how you build a media circuit.
I love when I see somebody that's been on my show come on another show. Yeah. Like the Lavish Journey. He's picked a couple of the people already. And it's
that's how I saw you for the first time. I was like, because I was watching Lavish and I was waiting for him. I'm like, all right, I need to get on the show. So I need to get. I'm like, oh, who is this guy? Colin's Conversation. Let me check it out. Like, that's one of them things where.
That's one of those things that means that, like, even like you said, with small views or kind of up and down views, I don't know about your first time that somebody in public was like, "Oh, aren't you on the colored radio?" Or for me, I was at a barbecue over the summer and 2 or 3 people, "Oh, you're Colin of Colin's Conversation." I had the shirt on. I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah, it feels good.
It's sweet. It's that validation of like, oh, somebody does a real person is actually out there watching the show.
I think that came. I think this is a classic thing from Cleveland. I got known more so outside of Cleveland first because of the Shane show. So Shane had his own core fan base, which stems off from Tyler's fan base. So like those kids are like raging fans for everything that they really love. So when we got put on Shane's app on the weekend, so we got some of his following and everything, and we went to Camp Flognog a year, and I had on a Color Radio shirt, and I'm standing in a locker, and he was like, "Are you Juice of Color Radio?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. I was so geeked. I was like, how do you know me? It was like, I saw the shirt. I was like, you did see the shirt. And like, you know what the shirt is. Right. Like that type of moment, I was like, it made me so joyous. Like, oh, it's paying off. Like there's people that actually listen or actually care in general and shit like that. So yeah, going on each other's podcast is a boost. It helps. It on any level it works, because the people that listen to podcasts, they have the time to listen to podcasts. Like right. they'll listen to more than one. As soon as podcasts now are just what like daytime TV was in the 90s. It's kind of like you had your 7, 7:30, 8, 8:39 shows, and then maybe a new one came out, so you kind of swapped out that 8:30, and now it's all right. Joe Rogan from 5 to 8, Color Radio from 8 to 9, Collins Conversations 9 to 10. Go to bed. Yep. It's kind of that you look for that new content.
That's how I do it. I structure it by the days I have to work, and by the car drives I have to go to. And if I'm driving to my third shift job, it's a short drive. I'm listening like something about movies, because I can turn that off and not be. But if it's like a news somewhere and like they're telling a good story about something, like, oh yeah, I'm waiting until I have a 30-minute drive so I can get that full concept out and everything. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Kind of wrap it down a little bit. You said you're big into politics. We got elections coming up. If you could be president, what are the top 3 pillars you would run on? What would juice for 2020 be?
Yeah. Off top will probably be, I'll kill 2 birds with one stone. I love this concept for reparations. Giving minorities rights to the weed licenses first. So if you have X amount of dollars or X amount of land ownership and you're a minority, you get first bid on the weed licenses when everything's legal. So I'll make it legal, and then for reparations, get the minorities of the Americas that have been oppressed first rights to weed, because it's like the gold rush right there. So if you can't build generational wealth off of stuff you've been using for your whole generations, you don't deserve to be rich then. School, I'm big on unique curriculums. Like I don't like the standard structure. I
mean, you actually want people to go to school and actually learn real life things?
Yeah, man. Like let's get some like if your kid has an interest in dance, we about to let him dance for like 4 hours and see if he like it. Like if he don't like twirling around and dancing all day, he's probably not going to be a dancer anymore. So let's see if he actually likes that, because I loved computers because I didn't get a chance to play with that many computers. So after I learned that, like, oh yeah, I like computers. I don't really want to build computers. Right. I don't really want to like, again, be in front of a computer all day. Like I do my edits, I do like the marketing stuff. I do videos and edit videos and all that. But if I had to sit in front of a computer and make my money like that and look at stocks go up and down, I'll be bored. I'll be really bored. But they won't tell you that, or that, hey, a doctor has to be on his feet for 12 hours. I don't like standing that long. No, I don't want to be a doctor. I'm cool. I don't want to be running around with stress levels like that.
Shit, not only you got to stand for the 12 hours, but you got to go in and out of rooms with people with the plague and AIDS.
Yeah, like it's certain things where I want to have children be able to feel shit earlier. Not pause. Be able to find their paths earlier and make mistakes in it, because most of that early time is your parents pushing you into things. You're pushing you into sports, pushing you into the ballet. But if you're like, well, I really wanted to see why that computer makes that noise. I'm like, oh, you want to know why a computer works? Let me show you how this works in the simple kid form. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think school, there's no reason you should have a high school diploma and not know how to do basic car repair, basic cooking, and basic fixing of household things. Taxes for sure.
Taxes. You can't.
Aren't taxes the most amazing thing in the world? Nobody teaches you how to do them. If you do them wrong, you can go to jail and lose all your stuff.
Come on. Like, my aunt gave me the best game. And when you go to a job and they say your deductions,
say you want $50 out of your check every week just for taxes. Like I just say, hey, take that out early on, so I never owe back anything.
Right.
You took this throughout the year. You actually owe me money now. Thank you, because I gave you too much. I gave you too much of my money, so give me this back. But I never want to like. Oh, I'm probably gonna have to when you get certain types of money, but taxes. Learn taxes, but yeah, that's my trick. I let them take out a little bit extra instead of doing it, and then you get some money back. She said she usually used to pay off her car insurance beginning of the year with that money. So I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Killing two birds with one stone again. Little game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of those, you as a kid, we got the 10-year-old. Wife's got a 10-year-old, and she'll be like, oh, Colin, we're in a store. That's $1.50. I got $1.50. Can I have it? Well, no, because it's actually $1.62. Mm-hmm. No, it's $1.50. See, right here, $1.50. All right, but it's 8% tax. We're in Lake County. Mm-hmm. You need $1.62. You have $1.50. Trying to like explain that to kids, like, why don't we teach that in school? It's crazy.
There's a really quick story. I was going to GameStop to buy the Engage. I don't know if you remember the Engage. It was like a
it sounds familiar.
Handheld phone.
It was like Nintendo made it?
No. Nokia made it.
Gotcha.
Nokia made it. It was it was a phone, but it was a game as well. And it said $199. And I'm like, Mom, it's $199. I have $200. It's cool. I didn't realize you had to buy the service for the phone too. Like, I got the $199, Mom. We can get it. I got it. This was not turned on for like 3 years. I put an old SIM card into it, worked for a little bit. I'm like, all right, I got this phone, but it's out of style now. Random. There it is. Random stories.
So let's get a couple quick little sound bites to help podcasters.
Okay.
If you were a podcaster, knowing all that you do, 150 plus episodes in when you first started, what would be the beginning equipment pack that you would recommend for somebody starting out?
On a budget, any plugins for your phone, if you have a good phone. Camera, always go for camera stuff first. Mic wise, you can go pretty much any way with a mic. Is more so in the editing of the show. If the mic quality is subpar, you can edit around it. We've had terrible shows where we're banging on the table, and I just had a good editor that helped me out and smooth it out somewhat. But plugins for your phone if you're on a budget, or any type of laptop plugin, camera, and then going to your mic. Lighting. Fucking light. We're about to invest in lighting next. We're investing in lighting so fast.
Yeah, I told you I've been kind of getting a different thing each week. Backdrop and lighting are the next two things.
Yeah.
I want to have like this whole wall with either, a lot of them you could get like the green, the black, and the white, or kind of like a seasonal type thing to kind of drop that in the background, especially if it's a green. I've started each episode too. I've figured out how to do different things production wise, so kind of just like drop your living room in the background. But like whatever you want to do that route too.
Yeah, that's the next step we're gonna take. Backdrop, green screen. We got a green screen, but we'll try to use it more. But what did I say? The lighting. The lighting's a big deal because just that thumbnail will make somebody not click. And
right.
I seen that be something so different where our third season, all of our videos started like a intro from Family Matters, and it was getting no views because it was the same look, and all the episodes looked the same in the thumbnail, and you didn't know it was a new episode until you clicked it. So I was like, all right, I can't do that intro anymore. Try shit out. This is one of the advice things. Try shit. Shit doesn't work. If you go back to our pages, you can literally see the evolution of our page going from, all right, we're just filming to film. All right, we're filming for people to get this clip. All right, we're filming for this to be actually the product, and
right.
This is what we want people to see first to go look at the podcast and everything. So try shit out. You're gonna make mistakes. If your friends don't listen, don't have them on when you're popping. No, your friends aren't going to listen all the time. They hear you all day long. They don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. People that have podcasts I don't really listen to because I know them. And I'm like, all right, bro, I heard that comment so long ago. I know how you're kind of twisting the truth a little bit. It's just so sometimes it does matter. So don't be discouraged by your friends not listening. For the people that do listen to you, cater to them. Like, ask them questions. Ask them what they like. Ask them what they don't like. A lot of my the people that give me the most advice are people that listen and say, hey, bro, the caption idea is good, but it's not linking up as much. And I'm like, I know, I know it's not linking up as much, but is it good as in you can understand it, or is it bad that you can't understand it? Oh, it's good, I can understand it. I'm like, all right, well, put that bitch out.
Right.
And like, you need that type of feedback. Like, a lot of our, again, with the camera, the camera's situation where we was just going off the phone, it had an echo. And like, to me, I'm like, this is just how the podcast sounds. Right. This is how it sounded. To everybody else, like, this shit sounds terrible, bro. Y'all have good information. This sounds ass. I'm like, all right.
I had Mike Miles, definitely get him on your podcast, local rapper, bar rapper.
Okay.
But it was about an hour episode. The first half hour was great. I think it was coming out of that microphone there, which I think by now that camera's probably dead. We've been talking a while. But then that microphone was not in tune right, so it was like so loud opposed to that one. So like the first episode, I'm listening, I'm like, this is great. I'm walking around like, yeah, man, this episode turned out great. I was like, oh, for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and you know, I could tell it was just me being lazy editing because it's an hour episode, whatever happened during the week. And you know, you kind of skip a little bit of pieces, parts, and you're like, whatever.
Shout out to Sean Carter. You know, he saves me a lot. He saves me so much time because if I didn't have a team around me, I really don't know how long it would have went on. Like, because I've mailed in episodes personally before, but co-host Maul picks it up and gives a great question to a guest, and boom, we're back into it.
Right.
I'm Sean Carter bringing the equipment. I'll have you on the show, obviously. You'll see he brings all the equipment, all the cords and stuff. He knows how to wrap them all because he went to school for it. So he knows all that stuff. And like those little things help add to the value of the show so much, where it gives the presentation where oil machine we're running smoothly, which we sort of are, sort of not, but it's a growing thing, and everything's learning experiences and everything. Like, but that team effort is definitely what has kept us going so much. Is having that team around us.
As soon as you said we're kind of like a well-oiled machine, I was in picture in my head. I'm like, all right, I would say that the Collins Conversations is kind of like the first time that you ever change your own tire. Like, you know it's on right, you know you're on the right course, but for those first couple of days, you're like, did I get a tire? Is it going to fall off while I hit the freeway? Maybe I should just take the regular road. You know, like not quite that well-oiled machine, but like it's pretty damn close to well-oiled. I just might not have used the right oil.
Yeah,
you know.
But you trust your preparation. Like, so like, if I looked at this YouTube video 3 times on how to change this tire.
Right.
I think I'm ready. So it's one of those things where it's like, all right, the next time you change the tire, like, I know how to change the tire. I did it once. So it's like, they can do it. Like, podcasting, after the 50th episode, people are like trying to ask me how to podcast. I'm like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually, one of these little things down here is that I'm working on a podcast book. I want to put out, I'm well behind my original schedule, but before the end of the year, I want to put out about 10,000 plus, about that size words of, I could go through it with you. It's one of those just like, what is a podcast? Why did I podcast? What did I learn marketing? You know, kind of just breaking it down like, this is what I learned. Podcast University, essentially. So that way, you know, on every episode, and actually look, this is what I got. This is what I've learned. This is what I learned from different episodes. Kind of break it down to be like, take this as your manual. It might work for you. Take what'll work.
And the number one thing will be just try.
Absolutely.
Just do it. I can't
It opens doors. It changes your own personality because, like you said, you're having conversations you and I never would have met. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we do similar things. We have similar ethos on a lot of different things, and we're both the type of people of the things that we don't agree on. Let's sit down and why do you feel that way about this?
Have a conversation. Communication is the biggest thing, and like for me, I love a good communicator. Like if you can give me a point or idea or some type of thought that I didn't think about before, I'm all in on you. And podcast is that thing. And for the new podcaster out there, I don't think people know that they're a podcaster until they're podcasting. Like from what I've seen of people that start podcasts that are good at it, they're like, I didn't think I was gonna do this. Like T.I.'s conversation is so amazing. You would think he would have been had a podcast. He just started his podcast like 4 weeks ago, and millions of views. Great conversation. He feel like he's been doing it forever. Yeah, Alex Jones almost was a great conversation too. But like those people that are thinking about it, you should have been did it already. And the people that don't know that they're podcasters, try it.
All right.
That's it. Yeah.
Last two questions. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go with kind of the backstories. Uh-huh. Where did the name Colored Radio come from?
Okay. There's a movie called Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors, I like to describe it as this thought. Most black people don't know what happened before slavery. So this movie basically told us about like kings and queens, the Moors in Africa, all the kingdoms that were around there. Then they talked about history of black people, of like Big Ben being designed by a black person, or the blueprints for Washington being helped designed by a black person. Like these certain moments in history. So me and my co-owner of the label, before it was a label, we sat down, and he's a rapper. He was like, yo, I got this song I want to make. Let's go to the studio. All right, let's go to the studio. We watched Hidden Colors right before we went to the studio. We made the song. The song started buzzing, blew up, quote unquote, to certain aspects, and that moment started the label. That first song right now is at like 5,000, 6,000 plays or something like that 5 years ago. But in the moment, that was like crazy. We got 1,000 plays the first time we ever put out a record. So we were like so happy about it. So our label was called Hidden Colors Empire. So the Empire on there, so we didn't get sued. But that became ACE, and that ran from there for like 2 years or something like that, until like I always had the idea of like we're gonna have to change the name. It was just like what we were gonna change the name to. So when we were looking for websites and everything, I was like, all right, Hidden Colors Empire, can't go Hidden or Empire, that's too, like, let's stick around colors. So I wasn't gonna do colors spelled a different way with the U in it, like the British way. Right. And I was like, all right, that looks okay.
Looks British.
Yeah, it looks like, all right, I don't know about that. And then it was gonna be Color TV, which had a certain ring to it, but I was like, I'll say that for the YouTube or something like that. And Color Radio. And Color Radio, I like to say, when people ask, what is Color Radio? I'm like, no, it's not for just black people. No, you have a weird mind. It's a play on how color television revolutionized television. Color radio is gonna revolutionize podcasting and radio. So that's where that came from in Color Radio. But again, yes, it does have that stigma to it, so it has a ring to it. So yeah, I do it like that.
I definitely would not have come up with the alternative of. I definitely took the easy route. I was like, all right, Color Radio, they're pro-black. They got a lot of small black businesses supporting black culture. Like either way, that's cool. The other way is even cooler one.
And that's what I kind of wanted to be as. Again, I'm a black male. I'm based in black culture. I live in the hooder areas I've lived in, so I know the culture. But I've also went to St. Joe's. I went to Kent State. I went to a lot of mixed race areas, and I know that culture as well.
So even when you look at our logo, it's not black and white. It's multicolored.
Who did the logo, by the way? It's a sick logo.
Yeah, Kid Retro. No. Kid 94 or something like that. He just moved to Cali. He has a brand called This Was Made in the Future. He's super dope. He does these dope ass collages. I'll post him on the page or something like that. But yeah, he was super dope.
The logo works really well.
Yeah, I spent like $250 on it. It was a good price though. Like that, I take pride in our logos and our presentation of our Color Radio page. I take pride in the story and like our story feed and how it's curated with information for people. Like I get nonstop messages like, oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. Really? Wow. Like that's why I want to get into like the color news area where we're like, okay, if you want,
I could totally see that with your stories because you in my personal opinion, you overuse stories like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You got like 45 stories a day out there, but
Non-stop.
like any type of news that you could need, it's right there.
Mm-hmm. And I like to say that's the commercials between the episodes. So
Gotcha.
if you want commercials of Color Radio, it's in the stories.
Gotcha.
And then again, you can mute us. You can mute our stories. It's not like we're gonna
That's
be
like
mad.
captions.
Exactly. It's well, I'm not mad if you don't watch our stories, but if you like the shade room type stuff, or if you want some up to date news, or if you want if somebody just died and you don't know if it's true, you don't know where to go.
Go to your page and it's right there.
It's right there. It's right there, and it's there. I've been working a lot more in a day now, but it's kind of pissing me off that I can't be as expedient to it. But most of the time, I'm probably 30 seconds to a minute on the actual news. The algorithms change, so maybe 4 hours, but it pops up. It's posted.
And how I end every interview is I'm gonna focus the camera in on you. I call it the digital soapbox.
Okay.
You get 1 minute. This is essentially your promo clip. You get to leave the viewers and the listeners however you want to leave them. Whether you want to go promotional, motivational, kind of just let them know, a wrap up, whatever it is you want to do. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, Juice Shrug of Colored Radio. Find us all on all social medias at Colored Radio. Use all those things. I would like to say positivity over everything. And if you have a negative presence in your life, remove them. Think great, be great, and stay blessed.
Absolutely. And what names can they find you?
Juice Shrug on Twitter and Instagram, and Color Radio on Instagram and Twitter.
Did I see that you have over 250,000 tweets on your personal account?
Probably.
I think it's 253,000.
Yeah. That's my second account. So who knows what could have happened if I kept my first account, my LL Cool Juice account. But yeah, 250,000 tweets. I feel like that's a little bit low. I stopped tweeting like the last couple years, so that's a little low. But yeah,
that's awesome. Excellent.